The accursed Imperial Lambda shuttle ventured through the treacherous abyss of space, its very presence amplifying the sense of foreboding. A chilling mist seeped through the metallic corridors, an ethereal fog that whispered of ancient horrors lurking in the void. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows, dancing macabrely along the desolate walls, as if spectral entities were taunting the doomed souls aboard. Inside the shuttle, the Imperial officer's voice trembled as he desperately reached out to the enigmatic outpost.
Outpost 13. 13, do you copy?
His words were consumed by the oppressive static, swallowed by the ethereal void. Undeterred, he pressed on, his voice laden with dread.
This is Lambda Shuttle 609, approaching, sending clearance code.
The only response was the maddening symphony of static, mocking his futile efforts to establish contact. A desolate pause gripped the air, thick with anticipation, before a faint voice pierced through the suffocating static. It was a mere whisper, fragile and almost lost in the void. The words slithered into the officer's ears, sending shivers down his spine.
This is TK-12 on Lambda Shuttle. Do not approach. I repeat, do not approach.
The voice quivered, distorted and fragmented, as if uttered by a tortured soul trapped between dimensions. Suddenly, a horrifying sound erupted from the speakers, a cacophony of twisted screams and unnatural echoes, clawing at the officer's sanity. His heart raced as the blood-curdling shrieks pierced through his very soul. He fought to retain his composure, a futile battle against the encroaching madness. Swallowing hard, the officer steeled himself against the encroaching darkness. Fear clutched his heart, but duty compelled him forward. With a trembling voice, he issued the chilling command to his squad.
Prepare for boarding.
The troopers exchanged nervous glances, their eyes reflecting a mix of terror and resolve, as they readied their weapons, unaware of the horrors that awaited them beyond the ship's cold metal doors. As the Lambda shuttle docked with the damaged space station, a sinister silence engulfed the air, broken only by the faint echoes of distant screams. The ominous door creaked open, revealing a corridor cloaked in impenetrable darkness. A sense of impending doom hung in the air as the officer and his squad stepped forward, their path illuminated solely by the faint glow of flickering emergency lights. Whispers of malevolence slithered through the shadows, as if the very station itself conspired against the intruders. The officer's heart pounded with each step, his mind plagued by morbid imaginings of the horrors that awaited them. Yet, they pressed on, driven by duty and the relentless curiosity that gnawed at their souls. Little did they know that in the depths of that derelict space station, ancient malevolence lurked, hungry for the life force that dared to trespass upon its domain. The stormtrooper squad ventured forth, their steps hesitant yet resolute in a labyrinth of dimly lit hallways. The air within the space station carried an oppressive weight, a palpable malevolence that whispered of lurking terrors. Classified mission or not, an intangible sense of dread gnawed at their very souls, warning them of the abominations that awaited within the shadows. Unbeknownst to them, the squad had unwittingly become pawns in a sinister game, where they were hunted, their purpose obscured by a veil of secrecy. Their mission, to retrieve invaluable data from the desolate laboratory hidden deep within the bowels of the station. Each trooper was acutely aware of the watchful gaze upon them, the predatory eyes that followed their every move, taunting their vulnerability. As they cautiously maneuvered through the murky corridors, a sudden encounter halted their progress. Another stormtrooper, a lone figure, stood motionless, facing away from the squad. The commanding trooper took a step forward, his voice trembling with a mix of curiosity and trepidation.
"What's your TK number?"
he inquired, hoping for answers. But instead, an otherworldly growl, something beyond human comprehension, emanated from the trooper as he turned ever so slowly. What the squad beheld was a nightmarish sight that defied reason and sanity. The trooper they once knew had become a grotesque embodiment of unimaginable horror. Their hearts pounded in their chests as panic gripped their senses, their training barely holding their trembling hands at bay. Instinctively, members of the squad opened fire, unleashing a hail of blaster bolts upon the abomination that stood before them. But their desperate assault only seemed to stoke the fury of the beast. With inhuman speed, it lunged toward them, fueled by primal rage and an insatiable hunger. Its distorted form contorted with every step, emanating a guttural snarl that sent chills down the spines of the troopers. The air crackled with energy as blaster bolts tore through the abomination, causing chunks of flesh to disintegrate. But the monster seemed impervious to their efforts, its malevolence undeterred. As the squad desperately fought for their lives, their deafening blaster fire reverberated through the station, echoing like a macabre symphony. Shadows danced in the flickering lights, revealing glimpses of other grotesque figures lurking in the periphery, drawn to the sound of violence and bloodshed. Nightmarish howls echoed from every direction, their discordant chorus heralding the encroaching doom. Fear-stricken troopers screamed in agony as the ravenous abominations descended upon them, tearing through armor and flesh with savage glee. The intercom crackled to life, transmitting their anguished cries to the ears of their comrades, who listened helplessly, their hearts heavy with despair. The remaining squad, plagued by terror and sorrow, desperately attempted to contact their fallen brethren, their voices choked with desperation.
Come in, squad! Respond!
They implored, their words a desperate plea for salvation. But only the haunting silence of the void answered their calls, amplifying their despair. As the realization of their dire fate set in, the surviving troopers banded together, their resolve fueled by the need to avenge their fallen comrades. They moved with newfound urgency, their steps quickening as they navigated the twisting corridors, their blasters at the ready, their fingers trembling with a mix of fear and determination. But the station seemed to conspire against them, its corridors morphing into a labyrinth of darkness and despair. Whispers echoed through the air, chilling their bones, as if the very station whispered secrets of their impending demise. Shadows elongated, contorted, and danced with malicious intent, concealing the grotesque monstrosities that awaited their arrival. As they turned a corner, their hearts sank, for the path ahead was overrun with a horde of abominations. The troopers' blasters unleashed a storm of deadly energy, beams of light piercing through the writhing mass of nightmares. Yet, for every monster they felled, two more emerged from the inky blackness, their haunting growls growing louder and more relentless. In a desperate struggle, the squad fought valiantly, their valor clashing against the encroaching darkness. But overwhelmed and outnumbered, they soon succumbed to the nightmarish onslaught. The intercom crackled once more, capturing their final moments of agony and despair as their screams melded into a symphony of terror. Silence descended upon the space station, broken only by the echoing laughter of the abominations. The horrors of that forsaken place remained shrouded in darkness, a haunting testament to the squad's ill-fated mission and the sinister forces that awaited anyone who dared to venture into their domain.